When was the first moment you knew I loved you?
First moment I knew that you loved me. I want to say probably after our first kiss. That sounds crazy. But after our first kiss, it was very emotionally loaded.
Yeah.
We were waiting, it was long distance. I was coming up every couple, days back and forth. But, I didn't kiss you the first time I met you as much as I wanted to. Kind of held off. But then after we kissed, we had a very good silent exchange. And I knew that you cared for me deeply and I cared for you. And it was kind of wild how that worked out. Mm-hmm. And then, we got together real quickly.
Yeah. U-Haul style, right in there without moving in.
Yeah. When was the first moment you knew I loved you?
I do want to bring up one specific memory because we just had a couple talks about it. When I went through the process of losing my house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's okay.
You were there.
Yeah.
Day in and day out. And it didn't matter what it was. You were ready to help me. You were ready to come and bring boxes and help me and put everything in your little ass car and move things. And you helped me make it a joke when clearly
it was not a joke.
It was not a joke.
It was very dark time.
It was a very dark time. And you were just there for me in a way that I never felt anyone was there for me before. And it wasn't physical as much as I sometimes feel like I like to deflect in that way, but it was very emotionally supportive from you. And when I was struggling to find a place with all the rent increases and all the random credit charges and staying with my son in my grandma's one room and everything was in storage, you were there. We were taking trips and to the beach and just trying to make light of it. I think I just felt so loved. It wasn't the first time I felt loved by you, but I felt so valued and so appreciated. You were definitely going out of your way, not just to make sure that I was okay, but you were going out of your way to make sure it was okay. And right before I got approved for that apartment that I ended up moving into and just quickly saying, nah, this is not for me, you handed me an envelope with my first month's rent. And that was a big deal.
Damn, we don't even talk about that.
We don't talk about that, but it was a big deal. It was a big deal. And it wasn't the envelope with my first month's rent. It was what you said when you gave me that.
We don't ever got to talk about it. We haven't talked about it since then.
We haven't.
It's not a big deal. I feel like we take care of each other, and that's just how I roll. And I wanted you to know that.
It's definitely a big deal to me.
So, damn, I forgot about that.
I did too. We made a pact. We weren't going to talk about it.
No, we weren't. It's been so long.
Yep.
But, all right.
How do our different upbringings affect our relationship?
Shit.
We talk about that all the time. All the time.
Well, I mean, we talk about it, yeah, but, my upbringing, we just talked about it yesterday, the day before.
Yeah.
My parents are immigrants. No longer, but they were immigrant people. School was number one. You were to be seen, not heard. I'm a girl, so you definitely can't be out here roughhousing, doing anything like that. You need to be in your little dresses and do stuff, and we're Caribbean, so you don't talk about anything. Mental health, what? No, you're crazy, shut up. Just
right, yeah.
Do you want something to cry about type of life. So it's very, I blocked a lot of things. My parents were very strict. Even before I joined the military, it was militant. My mom is like the most militant person I know. You know that.
Gosh, oh gosh.
Yes. So it's just, in our relationship, we didn't talk about stuff in my household. So getting with you and you're asking me all these questions, I'm just like, no, let's table it. I don't want to talk about that. We're talking about feelings.
Facts. You were
we
so
don't talk
big
about
on that.
Yeah, I don't want to be that cold person.
Yeah.
This is why, my nephew, we love up on him.
Yeah.
I'm hugging my mom now.
Right.
She didn't do that.
Right.
I say I love you more because I didn't do that.
Right.
And I don't want to continue doing that.
Yeah.
I hug up on because I genuinely care about him and I want him to know. I want you to know. It's different. It feels like, ugh, why am I doing this? But I'm doing it because I know why I need to.
Yeah.
It'll get better.
For sure.
So
Well, I definitely am with you with the sort of strict household,
Yeah.
for sure. With my parents being Puerto Rican, and the dad runs the house, and I watched a lot of my mom, not value her opinion, herself, because my dad was the sayer. He says what goes, and we do what he says, and there wasn't a lot of affection. In my upbringing, which we talk about too. There wasn't a lot of hugs either. There wasn't a lot of love. There wasn't any verbal words of affirmation from our parents to us as much as we would want that. Definitely not with my dad. And, there was a lot of physical abuse and mental and verbal, for sure. If it wasn't with us, it was my parents together. And I think that was really hard for us to grow up and watch and listen to. I think it made me cold in some ways, to where we talked a little bit about when we got together. We always talk about when we went to fucking CVS and you held my hand, or you tried to hold my hand for the first time, and I went into shock. Like my body could not handle it, because I was just starting to feel emotionally safe and kind of vulnerable with you.
Yeah.
And then when you went to express that physically, I could not do it. Still, we have moments where we get into certain disputes, or you're being very vulnerable with me and we're having a loving moment where I'm verbally expressing, but it's hard for me to physically come around. We just have moments where we're both very triggered, and for me, I can't physically express it. Like when you're upset, and we talk about it, and I understand where you're coming from. Every ounce in me wants to go to you.
Same.
I always want to hug you. I always want to embrace you, and it's something that takes a little bit longer. It's something that takes a little bit longer too, depending upon the subject at hand, because I'm having an entire different reaction.
Yeah.
And I think that we've gotten better.
No, we've gotten better. 100%. I think we've gotten better,
but
for sure.
But it doesn't come as naturally, especially when you spent so long putting it to the side, as I'm sure you did too. And sex was a big thing. Sex was a big thing. With my upbringing, we talked about how I became hypersexual in many ways. And so it wasn't anything to me, in a sense, to go and have a physical relationship with somebody that I cared for. But emotional, you want to get on the phone and talk feelings. I don't know about that. Like, I got things to do.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been more of a learning curve. And I think in order to minimize that playing out in our relationship, I have to bend the knee a lot more than what I used to in different relationships. And I can see that you do that too. And that's definitely helped us. Yeah. I like that we have the conversations that we have.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, when we got together, you were more physical, you could handle it. And I'm like, please don't touch me.
Oh yeah,
we could talk all day long. Thing. Don't touch me. I don't want to do it.
We're very opposite in that. You were ready to talk, and I was ready to touch.
Because sex was not a thing that was discussed. It's not like I had a conversation. My mom was worried about boys, and then she just wasn't worried. And then we didn't talk about any of that. And then on top of being a lesbian in a Caribbean family where they kill people for that shit. It wasn't like I'm going to just go, oh, Mom, I don't want to talk to you about it. No, we didn't do that. So, my sexual experiences are they're limited in different ways. Yeah. And I don't really care for it that much, but we've gone in a different space to be vulnerable with each other there with our emotions and stuff. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot.
Likewise. How do we communicate differently, and what can we do to better accommodate our differences? Oh, yeah.
Well, over our relationship, I wasn't communicating at all. Yeah. I was like, let's table it, and AKA, let's never talk about it again. I think I've gotten better with that, even though it's very difficult. There's I think, fear stem of actually saying the things that bother me, because I grew up in a way that you didn't. Yeah. And I've been in relationships that it played out where I just didn't. I just kind of took it. Yeah. Everyone else is able to say what they got going on with me, but I could never fully tell a person how I felt. Yeah. Because they would leave. I'm not 100% over the ledge of telling you everything up front, but I'd rather write it to you just because I'm a crier and I will cry about everything because of so many emotions that I don't know how to deal with at one time. Yeah. So I think it helps to put it down on paper, to at least, even though it's word vomit on paper, I get the gist of it out, and then we can discuss it later. Yeah. I think that's helping a lot in my communication style with you for right now.
Our communication differences were very were very evident from the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm very much, I want to talk, I want to figure it out. I've gotten a lot over my fear in that sense of I don't want to talk feelings. I've been there, done that. So it's more of a delivery thing for me that I'm working on now. Like, yo, I can talk about my feelings and recognize this, and I'm pretty self-aware. But not everybody is there yet. And so you have to respect everybody else's timeline. And that's a big one with me and you.
Yeah.
But I think you've gotten a lot better. That first time you wrote me a 3-page paragraph via text, I couldn't even read it. It just sent me straight to the notepad. I was like, oh yeah. I had to highlight things. I'm like, we're gonna discuss this tomorrow when she's a little more calm and I'm more calm.
Yeah.
But no, I think we've gotten better. And I think that you do, you know, you point a lot of things to your childhood, your trauma, and we know that you're in the middle of getting some help for that. And I commend you for that because you need it, not just for our relationship, for you to maneuver your relationships with everybody else as well.
I was doing that before I met you. I'm aware that I can't continue.
Yeah.
Because you come a point in your life where you're just like, you can't just blame, oh, I'm like this because of, you know, how I grew up. No, I think it's silly. I think it's stupid. And I want to be at the point where I can, you're still going to have traumas, but maneuver them. Yeah. And know how to, you know, hey, recognize it so it doesn't take over your whole day, your whole hour, whatever. Yeah. So,
for sure. Yes. Doing good, though.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Why am I in your life?
Fuck. Damn. I don't know. I think it's heavy. I think, even though we're so different, you're almost a mirror, a reflection of each other in a way.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. For me, I think that, you know, even though our backgrounds are kind of different, I believe we're supposed to be here together. I want you to know that I'm ever changing. I'm not the same person you met, and to give me the grace, just like I will give you the grace, that we're not going to be the same people next year, next month. Anything can change. Anything we talked about here today, you might change it down the line. Doesn't mean that I'll get upset or anything like that. Things change, you know, but I want you to know that I'm here to change with you. And it's important. It's important. I feel like you're in my life to push me in different ways, just like I'm here to push you in different ways. And I think it balances each other out. I think we don't overstep it. I'm not trying to lead your life or any type of way, but the way we move and maneuver each other as a duo and as a trio, I think there's a lot of things that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't around or if you weren't around. Yeah. So I think it works out, and I can see us continuing on and it just getting better and better. Yeah. So I'm grateful that you're here and that a swipe got us here. That's it.
Swipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you.
If you enjoyed that conversation at the end, visit theskindeep.com/shop, where you'll find more of our products to create the space to explore the relationships that are most important to you.